Phase number one of this 4-step launch sequence is we need to evaluate the business. Evaluating the business comes down to 3 things. We need to know marketing, sales, and fulfillment, right? And from the marketing standpoint, does the business have a way to acquire an endless supply of leads? That's what we want to know first off. Does there actually people out there who want the service? Or are you trying to create something that nobody wants? Doesn't matter how good everything else is, ain't nobody gonna buy it. Second step, does this business have a product or service in high demand? This goes back to selling. Do people want to buy it? Third thing, the fulfillment. Does the business have a platform offering that can be delivered at a price that maintains a healthy margin? Can you actually create a product that can become profitable? We don't want to start a hobby, we want to start a business. Based on these 3 things, I want you to start to think about what are some businesses that meet these first 3 criteria and start putting them down on a piece of paper. So here's what me and my wife did after we went to this. The mastermind had ended, we stayed for an extra day in Vegas, and me and my wife, we laid there on the floor, we closed our eyes, and we started dreaming about all the businesses that we wanted to start, that we could do, that we thought we had value to, that we had skills in, that we could already do. And we started to come up with all these ideas, and we literally jotted them down all on a big piece of paper. She had her list, I had my list, and then after we had our lists, we scratched out the ones that were duplicates, and we just made one long list of businesses that we both had. The second step, how do we take this big list and how do we start to narrow it down? So next we did is we took the 5 standards for selecting a business, but the first one is profit margin. It's got to have at least a 25% profit margin. The second thing is, does it have abundance of leads? Third thing, is it simplistic? Fourth thing, is it delegatable? And fifth thing, does it have the proper passion? So phase 2 was experimentation. What we did is we selected a revenue goal. We selected a revenue goal that we believed we could hit in that first 30 days. And that revenue goal, we thought we could do around like $6,000 or $7,000 of revenue that very first 30 days. And so we're going to shoot for that goal. And depending on how close we got to it was going to dictate whether we continue to pursue the goal or not. A lot of businesses should die in that experimentation phase. Like if you find out that there's a lot of things that you don't know until you actually go out there and you take action. And if there's some things that don't align with your purpose and your goals and what you thought the business did, like by all means, kill the business. That's what the first 30 days is for. It's not just revenue. It's like, do you see yourself being in this business for a long time? Because what's the point of creating a business that you're going to do for 6 months or a year and then you're going to shut it down? On to phase number 3, which is the optimize phase. And so the optimize phase is your 90-day period to identify 3 things. You're going to identify KPIs, you're going to identify critical drivers, and you're going to start to create SOPs, which is called standard operating procedures. And you're going to do that for each fundamental of your business, which is marketing, sales, and fulfillment. What are KPIs? They're basically your critical numbers that show you if your business is growing or not, right? And so some of our numbers that every business should have is going to be like, what's your gross revenue? What is your net profit? In business, you do business for 1 of 2 reasons. And one reason, to make money, to be profitable, to pay yourself. And the second reason is obviously to like serve the client, serve the customer, serve a purpose, solve a problem in the world right now. And if you combine those things together, your business can really blow up. So what are critical drivers? These are the numbers that are the cause to the effect of your KPIs. So if we like, okay, I want to make $10,000 this month. Well, what are some of the actions? What are some of the activities that we need to do in order for us to hit that $10,000 this month? And so what are some critical drivers? These are things like how many leads were generated? How many sales calls did you get on? How many sales calls were closed? How many current clients do you have? In like our specific cleaning business, we actually have goals not just for acquisition side, but we also have the same for our recruiting side. And so for us, our cleaners are like salespeople. And so how many cleaners we have, how many hours they work is going to dictate how much revenue our company can produce. So we actually track it from our cleaner standpoint as well. Like how much does it cost for us to hire a cleaner? How many cleaners are working and what are they working per day, per week? And what is our average cost per clean? What's our revenue per clean? So what are SOPs? SOPs are a way that you do business, okay? So you need standard operating procedures for your marketing system. You need standard operating procedures for your selling system, and you need standard operating procedures for your fulfillment system. If you haven't read the book, The E-Myth, this is like in The E-Myth, he really talks, like he nails down this concept. If Michael Gerber breaks all the beliefs around why you need to have processes and systems for everything you do in your business, even if you're the only one doing the business right now, you still need to have SOPs, standard operating procedures, or why you do things. Because when you get it out of your head and you put it on paper, you start to see a different world. You start to believe that, guess what? You're not that special. Sorry to say this, you're not that creative. You're not that cool. Everything that you do for a reason. You do because you have a system and process. Because you don't have it on a piece of paper, you think that you're a special snowflake. You think that you're the only one who can do it. But once you start to realize that you have a system and a process and you put it on a piece of paper and you're like, man, I'm not that cool, then all of a sudden you can actually delegate these things, which is going to be the next thing we talk about, to somebody else, and you actually can grow your freaking business. Now, how do you actually do SOPs? There's no standard way to do things, but it's basically like you want to create an operating operating manual that you can just hand to somebody and they can take over a specific role in your business. And so how we do this is we use lots of screen flows. We do lots of like Google Documents. We do actual live recordings. We use scripts. We do handouts. The better you know the role, the better you can communicate the role, the better time, the easier and the faster that they're going to get onboarded into that specific role. Okay. And the coolest part is then at that point, you don't become dependent on a single person because now you have the skills to onboard anybody. So you don't get handcuffed to your business by an employee who knows everything and you don't know anything. So like if they leave, then your business is screwed. But when you have the SOPs in place and you're able to plug somebody in, if they leave, if they become a terrorist, you can kick them out. And guess what? You can bring somebody else in because you have the systems to be able to teach anybody on how to do a specific role in your business. That's power. That allows your business to be around for a long time rather than you having to be dependent on a specific person. The next step is actually to hand this baby off. So at this point, you're going to find a manager, right? Because at the end of the day, in your business, you have three roles, right? You can be an artist, which is you being the doer. So like when I first started my first business in 2013, I was a personal trainer, right? I was the doer, I was the artist. Next step is being a manager, right? So that's when you start to hire other trainers. I started to hire admin. Then I became the manager of the trainers. I became responsible for hiring and firing of the trainers and the admin staff. But then the next level is actually to hire a manager. So then you can become the owner, right? And when you become the owner, you are going to manage the manager. You're going to handle one person, but outside of that, you actually can focus on growing the business. You can have ideas. You can actually have like things that you can focus on growing the business, and you can give things to the manager so that they can actually they can sell the staff on it. And so the doers can actually take care of the doing of the business, and then you can sit back and actually focus on the growth and see the vision, which is one of the most important roles in your business is actually thinking. So how do you actually do the handoff? Well, you must actually think of yourself as a leader. And so how you do this is you hire somebody to take over what you're doing, because you need to have somebody who understands not just how to be the manager, but how to do in our business, how to hire somebody who does customer support. And the more of these things you have, the manager needs to understand all these things. And so how do you actually manage the manager? You will have a weekly meeting with your manager. This will be a one-on-one. In the beginning, it'll be you talking about the business and helping them getting on board, and they'll have tons of questions. Eventually, it's going to turn into you basically being a mentor and a coach to them, try to figure out their goals. How do you help them reach their goals? And so your goals need to be big enough that they can fit their goals inside of it, right? You need to have a big enough vision for your company that their goals can fit within inside your company. And that's one of the biggest problems people have in small businesses is that they don't make their goals big enough. So all of a sudden they have this amazing manager who wants to continue to grow, and they have hit the ceiling because you stopped thinking bigger. You stopped growing. You stopped elevating yourself. And so how can anybody else continue to grow when you've basically put a ceiling on yourself? Because you as the entrepreneur, you are the leader. You're the trailblazer. And so that's what you need to do. Whatever it is, it just allows you the time and the freedom and the capacity to actually think and to decide what is the best next step forward to create the strategy. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you found it useful, consider mashing that like button. And if you're now considering launching a business, if you comment down below, I will share you my free training that I did on how I launched a cleaning business with 0 clients and 0 experience. And now we're doing over $50,000 a month consistently. So if you're interested in growing your business, then consider subscribing to the channel. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.